Well, I'll tell you this. We had a rough winter this past year, and I was becoming concerned with how many snow days we had, and we have a threshold at about -15 is when we go. And my assistant superintendent here, Chuck Murphy, he can tell you this. It was close. It was about -13. We had missed several days. It was under the threshold. All the local superintendents said, let's go. And before I got to school, I think I had about 40 phone calls on my machine, and most of them were not positive. Some of them were rather illustrated, let's just say that. I've received 2 or 3 calls on the Common Core, and most of them have been based on sheer misinformation. That once you get an opportunity to talk to people and let them know what it means, had a few phone calls, well, how can you start a STEM school when we have the Common Core? That there was this understanding that you couldn't do different things. You couldn't do STEM education. You can't do problem-based solution. You couldn't do inquiry learning if you have the Common Core. Well, that's just simply not true. It's just based on misinformation. So I'm not suggesting to you that the entire community is behind it. What I am suggesting to you is that most people, in my opinion, probably don't have a real clear understanding. But I will go back to the human capital of changing right now. When we first started to talk about OTES and OPES and the Common Core and park assessments and all these things, and how we needed to change and adapt our school to meet those challenges, a lot of the pushback initially was, well, it's just one more change. It's cyclical. I've been in education a long time. It's just going to come right back around the circle. Which, if you've been in education very long, or you know that happens frequently. And it's an impediment to necessary change. And we got through that, and boy, I sure would hate to, I can't imagine the political capital that superintendents and school boards and administrative leaders have spent to get buy-in and get this moving, and we have it in our district. To turn it on its head right now would be far more detrimental than what I believe to be a small pocket of people who are putting political pressure on our legislators to make a change.
You know, if I could add a comment here, is it political? Where are people at? To give you a sense of where we were as organizations when the Common Core surfaced, and then Race to the Top, which is a controversial federal program in some people's mind. Our position was always, the standards are Ohio standards. You can apply for Race to the Top and have federal dollars to help support and fund the training and work that's going to be done to prepare your district to implement the standards. But whether you're a Race to the Top district or whether you are not, the Ohio standards are still going to be the same, and the timeline is still going to be the same for anyone. This work in Ohio is not driven by the federal government. There are Ohio standards, and the Ohio General Assembly and the Ohio State Board of Education established the standards that we've prepared teachers and school districts to implement. The choice of whether a district pursued federal dollars that were available to help in that kind of work was also a local decision. But they're Ohio standards. They're not the United States Department of Education standards.